be it resolved.
Hello, welcome to Be It Resolved, your weekly debate podcast. We choose high interest topics, sometimes serious ones and other times not, and we go at them with zeal from opposing sides. You'll be informed, you'll be entertained. Today's topic is Be It Resolved. Plant-based meats should be banned. My name is Andrew Wood, and my co-conspirators today are Mr. Al Brown, Sarab Sandhu, Mario Karakidis, and Andrew Oates. Welcome to all of you and to our viewers. Before we begin, a few words about our debate format. Each debater will be given 3 minutes to present his constructive arguments, after which I will join in with them for an open 10-minute round robin. The debate will conclude with a 1-minute summation from each of the participants, after which I will offer my comments and declare a winner. A reminder that the views about to be expressed by the debaters are for the purpose of winning the debate only and do not necessarily represent their personal opinions. The resolution, once again, is be it resolved that plant-based meat should be banned. Arguing for this will be Al Brown and Mario Karakidis. Arguing against it will be Andrew Oates and Sarab Sandhu. Let's begin our debate with Al Brown. Al, you have 3 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, the food that we put on our plates is a very important thing because it directly relates to our health. So this subject, it seems not quite so serious, but we're presenting it because it is, and we hope that it will give you some food for thought. Well, let's get to the meat of the matter. You know, nowadays, words tend to vary all over the place. We get terms that are not such, but the meaning of meat in common practice today is actually animal-based foods. Yet today it's being used for something that's plant-based. Well, that's not such a far-fetched thing, but in the history of food, meat tended to refer to a lot of different things. But nowadays, it's focused entirely on animal-based products, and that's for good reason. There's so many food products we have today that a lot of things are being adulterated by changing names. For example, 70 years ago when they introduced margarine, the makers of margarine, it was just a white vegetable substance. So the makers of it wanted to try and compete with butter, so they made it yellow. They were deceiving the public by adding food coloring to a product that wasn't naturally that color. More recently, other elements have happened. For example, you know what a nice little kiwi fruit is? Well, its real name is Chinese plum, and it was changed just for marketing purposes. And today we have a situation where plant-based foods, no matter how good they are, they're being called meats when they really shouldn't be. You know, it's really not meat. And for the advertisers, of course, it is low-hanging fruit. And stuff that they can convince the public of it. But the public needs to be convinced of the veracity of this food product, not by changing its name, but by actually dealing with it for what it is. It is a substitute for meat. It is not meat itself. That is the meat and potatoes of this issue and the elements that we are arguing over. So ladies and gentlemen, let us all join and ban plant-based meats, call them something else. And now to throw rotten tomatoes at this argument, Andrew, back to the opposition.
Thank you very much, Al. Okay, now let's pass the word along to Sarab Sandhu. Sarab, you have 3 minutes to make your arguments.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and our esteemed opponents. Now we are saying plant-based meat should be banned. But why? We don't want to ban them. See, historically, all societal norms indicate that high-end eating or prosperity includes meat. But now meat is getting more expensive to make and to produce. It is not good for the environment because so much of water is used to produce them. So now they're trying to do plant-based meat because they want to satisfy the population. They want to have meat. Okay, don't have this meat, have this meat. Okay, it tastes same, it's everything the same, but it is less harmful for you. So why should you ban them? And in any case, generally, if everybody was eating vegetables, or vegetarian, or nuts, fruits, grains, and the Vedic diet, as they call it, you don't need meat. But that is not the question here. But the people who eat meat, they want an alternative which is not expensive and which is readily available. It's easier to produce rather than produce them by giving them water. They say that it takes about lots of money to just raise a cow on a farm, or even for that matter, chickens and all that. They cost money to raise. They a strain on the environment. So grow plant-based and make them into edibles which taste like meat. Nothing wrong with that. And the hunger problems around the world will be solved with that. And in fact, the big major like McDonald's and all of this offering plant-based burgers, and their sales have gone up. So that means it is a little popular. So why would you want to ban it? So just continue and make new products. In fact, now in Singapore, they're producing animal meats produced in a lab. They're actually made from animal cells. They're actually meat. It is not with a combination of various vegetables, but this is actually grown in a lab. They're trying to do that also because it's more environmentally friendly when you grow it without extra use of energy and resources to produce that meat that is produced in a lab. So if they have this whole thing going up, very soon you'll find we will be producing that meat. And so you don't have a problem with vegetable meat. But vegetable meat, I tried Beyond Burger once. There is no difference in the taste with the actual beef, and you don't feel guilty that you're eating beef because it is what has taken so much of energy to produce 1 pound of beef. You maybe use 5 gallons of water for 1 pound of meat. So that's the resource being saved in our country, in the world.
Thank you, Saram. That's your 3 minutes. Okay, picking up the argument for the pro side, we have Mario Karakides. Mario, 3 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. And ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I got a bone to pick with this argument here. Because as you can easily see, our opponents are in the argument that plant-based meats, and I put that in a quotation mark, should stay around, is not only for, it's not for the meat eaters, as a lot of people are claiming. There's no meat eater in this world that would trade a T-bone, okay, steak for anything else than just meat. Because look at the plate behind me. Just look at that. Doesn't just make you just want to go, ah. I mean, just that souvlaki there that's sitting there, that's the beautiful pork souvlaki with the Greek salad behind it and the asparagus. I mean, come on, that is the healthiest of healthiest food you can possibly eat. That is called the Mediterranean diet. And who's going to turn around and say that the Mediterranean diet isn't healthy? Well, vegetarians will, for sure. But vegetarians don't know how to live. And that's the truth. They don't know how to live. There is no liver in vegetarians, after all. They don't know how to live. So come on, let us really look at the meat of this thing and really go into it. Souvlaki makes you lucky. The word has the food in there says it all. It's lucky, souvlaki. Okay, and it's a Greek word, so we know what it means. I'm Greek. I know. I can tell you it's lucky. So you eat 2 souvlaki, you've got double the luck. Now, I don't know what the other arguments are. They're going to be talking about chemicals and cancer and whatever. But you know what, folks? The bottom line is, you want to live a healthy life. Get rid of the carbs. Get rid of all the additives that go into the plant-based, the vitamins, because they taste like nothing. Have you ever had tofu? Are you going to tell me that tofu tastes like anything? Are you telling me that it tastes better than a souvlaki? Oh, I don't know, folks. I just want to go yiro all around and just keep wondering what that is. Because I like my potatoes, I like my meat, and you know what? I like my steak, and I got my steak, and I've got my porterhouse, and I will stand behind my porterhouse because it helped build my house. So there, folks, that is the argument of a Greek standing for meat. And after all, we're Greek.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Karakidis. Okay, bringing up the constructive arguments is Andrew Oates. Andrew, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm sorry to hear the arguments of the opponents but they exemplify some of the problems that can be alleviated by having plant-based meats. Mario mentioned his T-bone steak and his porterhouse. That's one of the problems with having beef and the way it's very inefficiently raised. We grow a whole cow so that we can eat a few steaks from it, and nobody wants the rest. Some people don't even want to have hot dogs and things. And by the way, those people eating those steaks, they won't eat a lamb steak or a goat steak that's much more efficient to grow. They want a beef steak. So for diversification of the economy and for the health benefits that have been alluded to, climate change reasons and carbon emissions, pollution, pesticides, and the hormones that we ingest with meats, we can avoid all those issues by having plant-based additions to our diet, not banning meat, just other options. When I'm old enough to remember when nobody in Canada would eat yogurt, that was a weird European thing, maybe Greek yogurt. They didn't eat tofu. That was a weird thing that came from the Far East. I don't think consumers get confused by imitation meats either. They make imitation meat hamburgers because that's what people want, hamburgers. They're probably working on an imitation steak somewhere. They certainly got imitation fried chicken sandwiches now, and even imitation calamari that's deep fried. The costs of all this are much less. The land use is much more efficient. The storage of the protein is much more efficient. You don't need to refrigerate it and keep animals alive. You've got the protein that you can ship to countries that need it after a famine. There's no confusion in the market also between, do you think people go and buy mincemeat tarts and complain that there's no meat in it? No, they know that it's not meat. They don't buy almond milk and say, well, there's no dairy in here. And they certainly don't buy Cool Whip and wonder why it's not exactly the same as whipped cream or mayonnaise. When they buy Miracle Whip and they wonder why it's not mayonnaise. A lot of people don't want to eat anything that their ancestors didn't eat, be they Greek or from whatever region of the world. I remember when people didn't want to even eat a quiche for lunch. There was a book about 50 years ago, Real Men Don't Eat Quiche, and it was resistance to change. That's my 3 minutes that have come to an end.
Yes, it is. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so, well, that was the constructive phase of this debate. And now we're going to time 10 minutes for the round robin. And I'd like to start this with Al Brown, because Al, I've got a specific question for you. You made a statement in your constructive argument. And basically what you were saying is that you wanted to ban the label of meat for the plant-based products that are being marketed as meat substitutes. And I don't believe any of the other debaters took you up on that. But is that where you want to center your argument, that just we should not use the word meat, but the plant-based substitutes themselves are fine? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I don't think that it's I don't think, well, basically the advertisers, or sorry, the makers of these products are configuring them to satisfy the norms of that people have now. For example, hamburgers. I mean, the standard hamburger has been a food item for North America for probably the last 100 years, maybe. And so now what we have when we have a hamburger, well, who knows what's in it?
No, yeah, but
probably a little bit of meat and a lot of others, and sometimes a lot of other stuff. Where the foods that we eat are being adulterated by changing names, and we got to make a stand here somewhere. Now, I don't believe that plant-based plant products, plant proteins, should be configured as hamburgers.
yeah,
And in that regard, they should be the whole idea should be banned, because really, when you think of it, that's what we're talking about right now.
so
Plant-based burgers.
so negative. So for the con team here, you're being given a
Well,
specific
that sounds to me like somebody's in the pocket of big beef, because these are
What's your
industry concerns.
beef? What's your beef?
You mentioned, by the way, they cut that out of the ads too. Where's the beast? They cut that out during the pandemic because they want to promote non-beef burgers as alternative options. But
Well, there we go with
I
it.
wanna
It's
address-
all advertising. It's mind manipulation
I
of
want
the
to
public.
address the claim that you made that margarine was naturally white and they were trying to fool people by turning it yellow. They were prevented by the dairy industry in Ontario from making it yellow from the get-go. And they sold a little packet of yellow food coloring with a bag of white stuff, and housewives had to mix themselves at home. And it was
That's right.
It was just kowtowing to the existing industry. And you're arguing for the beef industry that wants to protect its turf as well.
This is all to save the world. You see, it takes 2 or 3 calories of resources to produce 1 calorie of vegetable protein. And it takes 54 calories of resources to produce 1 calorie of meat protein. This is not sustainable. Actually, it's not sustainable. And moreover, I would like to talk about how when you eat the food, whichever food you eat, I want to talk about the digestive process, which is good for you and which is not good for you. Nothing to do, your body loves vegetables. It can digest that in 24 hours. But if you take meat, it takes 3 days to digest it. You have 3 days worth of crap in your system, and you eat more meat. So you have the food lies inside. So it's a very inefficient way of even living because your body.
Saurabh, you're making some statements, but your statements are completely unsupported. So, I mean, like, you say it stays in the system for 3 days. You need to provide some proof of your.
Yeah, I'm telling from personal experience. So that's I find if I have vegetables, it's very good. With meat, I get constipated.
Okay, I want to direct a question to Mario. Mario, I've got a question for you.
What?
You spent 3 minutes extolling the virtues and pleasures of eating meat. And you went into the pork souvlaki and you went into the steak, but I did not hear you offer any reasons as to why plant-based meats should be banned. That's really the heart of the debate, is it not? Why should they be banned?
I'll answer the question with 2 words. Fake news. Okay, it's fake. It's fake meat, folks. I mean, come on. It is advertising designed to make you think like you're eating a hamburger. I mean, Saurabh said that he went to McDonald's or somewhere and he tried the fake burger and it didn't taste anything like it. He's a vegetarian. or he doesn't know the difference. So come on, how can you possibly tell me that, if anybody in this world has ever tried meat, okay, he says it gets digested slowly and badly in your system, but guys, come on, that digestion is heavenly. Okay, I mean, first of all, it starts just the most incredible amount of just ecstasy when you're biting into that meat. Okay, look at that shish kebab behind me. It's ecstasy. You cannot get that from fake meat. And that's the crux of it. That is exactly the reason why we're saying don't try to lie to people. We're being lied left, right, and center. Meat is meat, okay? Vegetables are vegetables. They both have their place. In the plate behind me, they all have their
In
place.
the plate behind you, you also have vegetables.
Right,
Why do you have vegetables?
They have their place. That's exactly what I said. Meat has its place. Vegetables have their place. And in the stomach, they become nirvana, my friend.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
But you ask your colon, they don't like it.
My
you know what,
Colin Powell, and he says it is powerful.
Yeah, well, Mario, you are obviously a meat eater. I'm going to assume that that is the real you. It certainly seems to be. But aren't you, I mean, by dismissing all the many, many millions of people for whom the sight of meat, not to mention the smell and the taste of it, is disgusting. I mean, what do you have to say to those people?
Listen, what I'm saying to you is this.
Andrew, I think I can answer that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Why fake it? I mean, people are interested in you make something that looks like a piece of meat that people couldn't eat because of the real stuff they don't like. I mean, that's silly. Why not just give them a nice plate of veggies, maybe some tofu, or whatever, a nice tomato pasta, pesto, salad or something like that. There's all sorts of different ways of producing food nowadays.
Oh.
And when they put together a plant-based meat, what sort of stuff are they putting in it to make it taste like meat?
Well, that's the closest I've heard you come to making a real argument for banning plant-based meats, because you can extol meat as much as you want, but if you're going to ban the plant-based meats, you need to have some solid reasons for doing it.
Well, the reason why we said was to ban the lie that they're meat. That's what we're talking about here. Our argument is based on the fact, and I'm going to be a little bit serious here because I've been kidding around so far, but let me just tell you this. The name, the labeling itself is trickery. It's a lie. And the moment we start to lie to people to make them believe it, it's an agenda hiding behind it. Okay. So let's call it what it is. It's fake news, fake.
Well, okay.
Nobody confuses a mincemeat pie with a meat pie. Remember when Jamaican patties first became popular in Toronto, and they were called Jamaican meat patties at the time, and the meat industry got up in arms and said, no, it's mostly pastry. There's not enough meat to call it meat. We're going to ban that. What good did that do? Everybody still eats Jamaican patties and they enjoy them.
Right. But
how much meat is there in them?
Right.
It's an option for people when they're not eating meat. And we haven't even talked about animal cruelty. We've talked about the efficiencies of raising animal protein. But if only 5% of people are satisfied with a plant-based burger and don't use an animal's meat, that's a benefit to the planet.
Yeah.
If I'm going to eat vegetables, I don't want it formed into a nice little patty like this and put between two slices of bread. I want my veggies as a separate dish. And beside it, I want that nice, delicious piece of meat, drizzling meat juices.
It's good to know that you know exactly what you want. But why do you feel compelled to tell others what they want?
But
This is
Alex,
not
they're
telling
making
people
meat
what they
patties
want.
not before.
It is the advertisers and the manufacturers who are telling people.
Right.
They're
We are
trying to.
again, we are not arguing for banning it. We're arguing for banning the way it's being called. Okay. And the fact is that when you're calling it, okay, meat itself, okay, it's not real meat. So let's get the story straight here. We are saying that there is place for everything. Now, you talked about animal cruelty. You don't throw the baby out with a dirty bathwater. You re-engineer, you create different environments,
Okay.
create change, folks. That's the behind it.
Okay, Mario, I have to let, that has to be the last word. That has to be the last word. Thank you very much. We've gone a little over time. Anyway, that, well, we got to an entertaining place there. Appreciate that, gentlemen. And now we're going to make our 1 minute summations. And for that, we're going to go in reverse order. So Andrew Oates, if you'd like to state your final thoughts on this.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just yesterday, I was reading in the Globe and Mail about a new company formed in Alberta to raise plant-based protein. And the person who started the company is an oil company executive who sees this. He's interested because he adopted a healthier diet, and he knows that plant-based protein is part of that. But it's also a way to diversify the economy of places like Alberta, where they can not only grow yellow peas to produce this protein, but also diversify the economy and add value in Alberta, which is a good thing economically for the country as well. We can't afford to have everybody in the world eat steaks that are grazed from cows that have grazed on green meadows and lived a long and happy life. We just don't have the resources for that. So we need to find alternatives. And the plant-based meat seems like a pretty good one to me.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's move along to Mario. Mario, your final thoughts.
As we've been arguing from the very beginning, when you're calling it plant-based meat, it is absolutely a lie to call it that. It's not meat. So the fact that they're going to try to push it as such is fraud in many ways. It's intellectual fraud. So call it vegetable, call it something else, but don't try to market it as meat. Because it isn't meat. That's what we've been arguing, both in a humorous and in a serious way. Meat is meat, okay? And the meat behind me is the meat. The vegetables on my other side are vegetables. And that's where we should stand. Now, people can make their choices if they want to eat meat or eat the vegetables. We're not arguing. We're not telling you to ban that. We're telling you to ban the word plant-based meats. That is where we're staying, and that is what we're defending here today.
Okay, thank you very much. And to wind up the debate, we've got, or to wind up the debate for the con side, we've got Sarab Sandhu. Sarab, 1 minute.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator. Now, the fact is that meat, what Mario is saying, it tastes so nice. It's not going to last for too long. In the future, you're going to have, it's going to become expensive and more difficult to grow that. That's why in Singapore, they're trying to grow it in a cell, so which is more economically viable to grow the same meat which you have to grow animals. Now they're growing it in the lab. And now before that happens completely, where there'll be no fake news because you'll be eating meat. But before that happens, they're going to use the burgers or whatever vegetable matter they use to make it look like meat, because this is more sellable at the moment. That's why they're telling you what the ingredients are. So it's not fake news. They're not saying this is meat. They're saying this is meat-like or whatever. So to save the planet, you should continue not banning this vegetable patties which sound like meat. And then vegetable patties have been used for centuries, much before meat came into existence also. They've been using vegetable patties.
Thank you, Sarab. Okay. And for the last word, we've got Al Brown. Al, 1 minute.
Mr. Moderator, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this debate. I hope that this has been fruitful, because really this is an important issue for us all. Are you going to listen to the advertisers when they offer you a meatless burger? Or are you going to go for a real meat burger? Or are you just going to say, no, thank you, I'm going to go for a truly vegetable dinner? All of this is very important. And we pointed out to you, we're not against people eating vegetables. We just don't want people calling meat that is made out of vegetable products actually meat. It is false advertising and always has been and seems to be a way of the future. And we hope that that will change. Over to you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you very much. Saurabh, you can break in some other time, but right now I've got to wind this thing up. Well, thank you, gentlemen, all for your arguments. I must say that I found this whole exercise somewhat confusing. Well, first of all, I find the proposition problematic that plant-based meat should be banned. I think the core of the argument seems to be, or the core of the topic seems to be, that plant-based meats are healthy for you, that they're good for you, that they're good for the planet. And from the other side, the core of the argument seems to be that meat is the natural thing and it's great tasting and it's the real thing. But what happened, it was very interesting, is that the pro people funneled the proposition down to a word play, so that they were contending that it's the word meat in the plant-based proteins that should be banned and that they should not be allowed to call them meat. Now, I did not hear that argument effectively rebutted by the other side, unfortunately. And so here I'm at a bit of a dilemma. I thought the better arguments were on the side of the people who are opposed to the proposition. Much better arguments, to be frank, because on the other side, it was mostly confined to being cheerleaders for hamburgers and steaks and that kind of thing. But because the way the pro people framed the debate, just making it a word play, and we don't want you to use the word meat, and that was never effectively countered by the other side. So I think I have no choice myself but to reluctantly award it to the specious debaters who were arguing for the pro side. So you guys won, and that one has an asterisk beside it, though.
We will put a stake in it.
I don't consider it proven that plant-based meat should be banned.
Well, we can do the debate again, Andrew, and you can be one of the debaters.
Well, you know what? But that was kind of fun the way it went. So, folks, thank you for listening. That was enjoyable. Certainly, what do you feel? What is your opinion about this? Thank you, all of the debaters, and we welcome you to our next week's topic, which will be a universal guaranteed minimum income should be implemented. That's what we'll be talking about, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe so you do not miss another episode. Thank you.